So yeah, this is just expensive calorie counting. Hey everyone, I'm Abbey Sharp. Welcome to Abbey's Kitchen. Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace, and we'll be taking on a classic weight loss program that sadly has shown no signs of dying off: Weight Watchers. But first, let me tell you about my sponsor, Squarespace. Now, if you're not familiar with Squarespace, it's an all-in-one platform to run your business, whether you're looking to build a website, blog, online store, or use their marketing tools and analytics. You guys know that between YouTube and my blog and public appearances and parenting 2 boys under 3, I have no patience for technology. So Squarespace is amazing because it takes care of the SEO and site management for people who are busy juggling a million things like businesses and family. When everything in your digital presence works together, it just makes it so much easier for you to actually focus on your actual business. So you can check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/AbbeySharp to save 10% off of your first purchase of a website or domain. And of course, before we get into the video, feel free to pause the screen or look at the description to check out my disclaimer, including a trigger warning to those with current or previous experiences with disordered eating. As always, please feel free to skip this video if it's not supportive to your journey. And if you are new here, welcome.
Welcome to the club.
Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell so that you never miss out on a video. Alrighty, folks.
Alrighty then.
Let's jump in. Now, if you've never heard of Weight Watchers, well done, bravo. But basically, it's one of the OG weight loss programs with a 50+ year track record of taking people's money. Oh, and I guess also like helping people lose weight. But it's been heavily endorsed by major celebs over the years like Oprah, Jennifer Hudson, Jessica Simpson, etc., all of whom credit WW for their weight loss success. Now, while Weight Watchers has almost become a household name by this point, the program recently rebranded itself as WW and Weight Watchers Reimagined, and now markets itself as a lifestyle rather than a diet, likely as a way to get away from the dirty D word and the sole focus on weight, and therefore align themselves with the new, more trendy wellness community and culture. But if you're a regular follower of Abbey's Kitchen, you're surely not fooled by this sneaky marketing trick. You may also remember that about a year or so ago, I reviewed Weight Watchers' Kurbo app, aka putting kids on a diet. And if you recall, I wasn't so kind. And set off on a lifelong struggle around food and their body makes you happy as a parent, I think it's time to reevaluate your role. So since WW is still to this day such a staple in diet culture, I thought I'd offer you my thoughts on their updated approach. Is this truly promoting a healthy lifestyle? Or is this just another form of restriction? So super quickly, WW has long been known for its unique points system, which has evolved over the years as the program itself has been updated. On Weight Watchers, you don't have to count calories. So freeing. But you just have to count these arbitrary points. Oh. Now, according to their website, Smart Points is our way of making nutrition science simple and is designed to help guide you to a healthier pattern of everyday eating. Our Smart Points system assigns every food and drink a points value, one simple, easy to use number based on calories, saturated fat, sugar, and protein. Foods that are higher in sugar and or saturated fat are higher in Smart Points values, and foods that are higher in lean protein are lower in Smart Points values. Okay, when you sign up for WW, you basically get a Smarts Point budget based on your age, gender, height, and weight. So essentially, to lose more weight, you basically need to tighten up that points budget and eat more 0-point foods. I know. I too have 90s PTSD as well. But if you manage to escape this era of diet culture, according to WW Lingo, 0 points foods are foods that do not need to be tracked or measured because they're considered to be the healthiest low-calorie foods that are essentially hard to overeat. For instance, they give the example that it's a lot harder to eat 6 chicken breasts than 6 cookies. This is a fair point, but it's not a foolproof system. We will chat more about why I think this system is flawed in a moment, but first I want to describe the new meal plans. So as part of the new program, there are 3 different meal plans to choose from, and the best plan for you will be determined by taking a quiz assessing your habits and your weight loss goals. So to test this out, here's what I did. I took the quiz myself, and basically they asked me a ton of questions about how I feel, my goals, my current relationship with food. They asked me questions about when I feel like I've gotten off track and my self-talk and what wellness ultimately means to me. And in the grand scheme of most diets out there, I did find it to be a relatively comprehensive assessment. Certainly not what you would glean from a one-on-one session from a dietitian, but definitely better than the new one I discussed in detail here. Now, they did ask me about my weight and height, but it actually didn't seem to focus on a numbered weight loss goal. So after the assessment, they evaluate you based on 4 pillars of wellness: nutrition, activity, sleep, and mindset. And from there, you gotta sign up for a membership, which obviously I didn't want to pay for, so the whole ideal meal plan for me is apparently hidden behind a paywall. And behind said paywall, it shall stay. So anyways, that's how it works. And then each food plan claims to promote weight loss, but the plan that's right for you is the one that allows the most freedom and flexibility and helps you develop and sustain healthy habits. So there's the green plan, the blue plan, and the purple plan, which are basically distinguished by how many smart points you get and how 0-point foods are defined. Confusing, yes, I know.
What the hell are you talking about?
In short, the green plan gives you the most smart points, but their 0-point foods are limited to only non-starchy fruits and vegetables. The blue plan gets you moderate smart points, and their 0-point foods also includes lean proteins. And the purple plan gets the least amount of smart points to play with at their discretion, but their 0-point foods also include whole grains. So the way I see this is that the green plan dieters may have been identified as needing a lot more guidance and maybe some more rules to follow in order to succeed, while the purple plan dieters are maybe less likely to cheat the system and binge on 0-point fruit. So these folks maybe have a better sense of what feels good in their body and what keeps them satiated, so they can pretty much eat more like the 80-20 rule with a little less tracking, but with still having some small daily budgets for treats. And then the green plan folks maybe need to track and account for pretty much everything. So now that we understand how WW has evolved and what it looks like today, let's talk about some of the things that I actually kind of like about the new WW program compared to other weight loss diets or previous iterations. First off, I do like the customization of the 3-pronged meal plan system, even though it's a bit confusing. So depending on your relationship with food, how much structure you feel that you need, and how much or how little nutrition knowledge you already have, different systems will definitely appeal to different people. And I do think that greater customization in general will always yield greater chances of success. Second, unlike with a lot of trendy diets du jour, WW doesn't focus on limiting the types of food that you can eat. So you don't need to cut out sugar or alcohol or dairy or gluten or whatever. You have the option to work these foods into your diet, which I do think makes the plan more accessible to the general population. Honestly, it's no different than any other calorie counting or if it fits your macros type of approach. So if you want to eat the cupcake, you just have to work it into your day. Third, I think if a person has a relatively healthy relationship with food and they're able to be kind of introspective and collect data on how certain foods make them feel while following their plan, that following a general points guide could potentially teach them some basics about nutrition. So for example, specific to the purple plan, I think someone with a generally good relationship with food would be able to acknowledge that, hey, when I eat low or no points foods like a few slices of whole grain sourdough with grilled chicken breast, with some salad for lunch, together, which would be cumulatively very low in points on this plan, I feel really satisfied. And maybe I don't need to snack so much afterwards. So if you get that out of the program, I think that's really great. Now, of course, the likelihood of someone with a really solid relationship with food doing a diet like WW is another story, but I will get more into that in a bit. Number 4, another one of the often cited benefits of WW is the community that the program offers its members. Now, virtually, because of COVID, of course, members also have access to live streams, pre-recorded messages, workshops, and one-on-one coaching. And we do have research to support the idea that weight loss interventions work best when not done on their own. Lastly, and most importantly, the program is supported by research, which is more than most programs online influencers are peddling or supporting can say. So for example, a 2017 clinical trial found that adults in the WW program for a year lost more weight and were able to maintain their weight loss over 2 years better than those who used self-help materials. And then a 2017 review of about 40 studies also found that those who used WW lost 3% more weight compared to folks who used other forms of support or counseling. Now, as for the new updated plans, in 2019, a survey by USA Today reported that the color-coded diet plans actually decreased levels of hunger by 21% over a 6-month period. Now that all sounds great. I just need to say that, of course, like most research on weight loss diets, we really don't know how well people fare in the long run when they give up their membership and they stop obsessing over points and they go out to eat in the wild.
Drinking your own pee is truly unpleasant.
Weight loss intervention research is notoriously short-lived, as is most weight loss. So I do take most weight loss intervention research with a bit of a grain of salt. But again, some research is better than none. So on that note, let's talk about some red flags. First, cheating the 0 points system. Whether you get a lot or a little 0 point foods on your plan, there's definitely a risk of abusing the system. Being put on any kind of budget, we can develop what I call scarcity mentality, which can lead us to ignore our body's innate hunger cues. As a result, dieters may end up eating a shit ton of 0 point foods, even if they're not physically hungry anymore, simply, because they've got permission to do just that. This can absolutely derail both weight loss and body intuition for a few main reasons. First of all, depending on the plan that you're on, you can easily rack up an excess in calories from eating fruit, whole grain bread, or chicken breasts all day. The result could theoretically be an unbalanced, inadequate diet, but also a caloric surplus depending on what you choose. So when you stop listening to your body, it starts to feel a bit like a game, and people love to find ways to hack games. Now, I know I just stated that this could potentially work really well for some folks with generally good, non-emotional relationship with food, because it may help us see that those 0 points foods are the more nutritious, satiating foods to include more often, while the smart point foods are like the fun foods that we want to enjoy in moderation. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here to say that most people doing diets like Weight Watchers don't have clear dieting track records. They've likely lost and gained weight many times in their life and likely already have assigned a lot of moral value to the foods on those plans. So in other words, they likely already have a pretty severe scarcity mentality that's not going to be healed on any kind of diet. So even though I prefer the format of something like the purple plan, let's say, to the green plan, I still do wonder how often dieters abuse the flexibility that a plan like this promises when there's still a budget in place and weight loss is still the focus. Another concern that I have is around the point system and the unnaturalness of budgeting food. So according to the rules, you're allowed to roll over 4 smarts points each day to save them up for the end of the week. This may lead people to intentionally restrict themselves to ensure that they have rollover points to binge on certain days like a weekend. I think this teaches a really bad habit that can reinforce a restriction and binging cycle of eating loads of vegetables and plain chicken breasts all week long, only to drink a ton of beer and overeat pizza on the weekend. And this is just not healthy. Also, because you lose your points the next week if you don't use them, it may encourage dieters to eat past the point of fullness just to use them up. Eating should not be reduced to a math equation. And speaking of a reductionist approach to food, even with a broader range of 0 points foods allowed in the Purple program, I worry that some naturally nourishing foods are still off the table. So as you progress through the programs and are allowed things like chicken breasts and even whole grains with more flexibility, fat is still something that needs to be budgeted for. So for example, an ounce of Brazil nuts will clock in at 9 smarts points, which for a Purple plan follower eats up over half of their points for the day. Good thing Brazil nuts taste like ass.
No, didn't like it, bad taste in my mouth.
Now, I understand why fat-rich foods need to be budgeted for since fat is calorically dense, but I think it communicates confusing messages to folks that some foods are good and other foods are bad. It also can result in a really unbalanced diet if fat-rich foods are specifically omitted or severely limited in order to save up those points. Another issue I have is that it celebrates quantity, not quality. So I'll give WW props that it has come a long way at trying to perfect this system so as to encourage people to choose more nutrient-dense foods. So by giving people more flexibility to choose more nutrient-dense foods by assigning them 0 point status, and also having sugar, saturated fat, and protein levels impact the assignment of smart points. But the basis of the smart points calculation is still calories. So sugar and saturated fat slightly raise that number and protein content can bring it slightly down. But calories are still the driving force here. And with enough scheming, again, it's not hard to stack your day with less nutritious foods. So for example, an ultra-processed fat-free hot dog has 1 point, where a tablespoon of peanut butter and some apple slices has 3. If you're trying to save your points for a weekend cheat day, you could do that by, theoretically, eating a whole pack of these wieners.
That's what she said.
Without the bun. And I'm not sure that's what we really want to encourage people to do. So if you haven't succeeded with counting calories or counting macros for weight loss, I don't think that this is much different. It's basically the same thing, but with a better PR team, plus Oprah. Oh, and it's not free either. And that brings me to the cost. Now, depending on your plan, you're looking at anywhere between $24.99 and $56.29 a month. So for a year, that works out to almost $300 to almost $700 a year, not even including the sign-up fee. For a lot of people, this is just out of reach, and it doesn't even include the food costs. Now, unlike learning other Gentle Nutrition 101 strategies that I discussed in my video right here, there's a huge concern that when you stop paying for the app and the accountability system and the point system guides, you might not have the nutrition knowledge or skills to really transform this into a lifestyle. It's like always using a calculator or spell check so that you never need to learn how to do math or write. That could be an expensive lifestyle. And lastly, you're paying for unqualified coaching. So according to LinkedIn, WW does include some registered dietitians on staff, but the accountability coaches available for the premium versions of the program don't seem to have any nutrition or health qualifications. I did some sleuthing, looking at 10 WW coaches on LinkedIn, and only one was a dietitian, and she specialized in diabetes-specific cases. The other 9 had backgrounds in either sales, communication, or product development, obviously.
Is it that obvious? I'm sorry.
Now, of course, this is not an official survey of the staff at WW, but from the information that I can find publicly, it doesn't seem like WW requires their coaches to have any official nutrition or health background. So if you're looking for a personalized nutrition program and somebody to hold you accountable with credentials to do so properly, I would think your money would be much better spent investing in an actual RD. So to summarize, I do think that the new WW programs seem to offer greater flexibility and options than previous versions while maintaining the kind of community and the accountability aspects that it's been celebrated for in the past. But unless you're willing to pay for the structure that they built for life, it may not set you up to make healthy eating a lifestyle. And maybe that's a really good business move on their part. Like, why teach a man or a woman to fish when it'll mean that they no longer pay you to fish for them? So in conclusion, while some research suggests that WW dieters do achieve success, we really don't know how dieters fare long-term or when they stop paying for the service. But if the data we have on weight loss diets in general is any indication, most people will probably gain the weight back. Not all, but most. And of course, calorie counting or pseudo-calorie counting like this can absolutely work for some folks, but I do worry about the scarcity mentality of a program like this. So if you're looking for more sustainable weight loss tips that don't cost you anything to learn, definitely check out my video right here. And on that note, that is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below on other diets that you want to see me review. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye!